Welcome to Rising from the Rubble, the podcast where we share real life stories of people who have faced life-changing events like burnout, redundancy, and depression, and found a way to rise stronger than before. I'm your host, Maria Newman, and as a coach, I help individuals navigate life's toughest transitions. Whilst listening to this podcast, you'll hear inspiring stories and coaching insights that will empower you to reclaim your confidence, redefine your future, and rise from your own rubble. It's now time to sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to our episode. Charlie, and thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. So, what makes your story meaningful to others?
Well, I swapped making very wealthy, rich men, generally white middle-aged men, richer, and I now make sure that I help women who grow businesses and want to change society. I swapped that for that, and it's brilliant.
Who will benefit most from hearing your journey?
It's the women who want to grow a business, but without all of the things that society tells us we should do. Though all of that extra stuff is not essential. So it's when women kind of focus on just doing the right things at the right time, and then women win, and then society wins, definitely.
What's the most important takeaway from your experience?
Marketing with intention and being really passionate about what you do, and ignoring everything else will stop you burning out and will make you run a better business, definitely.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Whether it's business owners or being employed in corporate, it's ensuring we're looking after ourselves so that we don't get to the point of burnout, which I think as women, we're not so good at looking after ourselves, and we're really good at looking after everybody else.
Yes, it's a super skill. The way I rephrase it is I want women to be more self-focused, not selfish, because I think selfish got a bad rep, but self-focused first, and then everyone else will benefit from that.
And on that note, so Charlie, who are you and what's your story?
So I am Charlie. I spent 20 plus years actually, in corporate marketing, working with some of the biggest brands in the world, doing the most amazing things. Like I used to manage premieres as a job. I used to work in massive electronic companies. I worked for huge retail companies, but it was all very male focused, really, really male focused. And I loved it at the time. I really did. I was traveling around the world, a great salary, lovely title, but it never felt meaningful, not deep down. It felt like I ticked all those boxes of success, and I kind of went, oh, is that it? I've done it now. And there was such a realization. I was like, oh, this is dull. This is really boring. I'm not very good at being bored. So now I use that experience and all the things I did to support women and to help them grow businesses that they actually love. Because I just realised, I used to work for massive electronics companies. No one needs a £2,000 phone. We really don't. But if you have a business and, a woman running a really amazing, sustainable business, that's what people need. They're things that they do. So I think using that marketing skills for good now, not for, let's say, more profits, then that's what I do, focus with those women. And then when more women have more money, society benefits. They invest in things, they back communities, they look to causes. And I think that growth, I think the world needs that right now, with a bit more money in more sensible women's hands.
So tell us more about your experience of working in corporate, because there will be women who are listening and watching this who are sat working for someone else. Some of them will be having a great time and it's the best thing they've ever done, and there'll be those other women who are probably like you and me, because we're both from corporate backgrounds, who were really good at their job, and yet something wasn't quite right.
Yeah, and it kind of snuck up on me, that feeling. It wasn't like, oh, I was, hated it. I loved the jobs I did. I worked for amazing companies, did brilliant things. Some of the things I look back on now, you're like, oh my God, that was brilliant and amazing. But it was just that, oh, is this it? Like, it was a real realization quite quickly of like, I'm just not fulfilled. I can do the job, I'm good at it, but so what? What's the so what? And it was just like, making rich men richer. I worked for one company once, and as you walked into the building, you had to park down the road on this horrible, scrappy little back alley kind of thing. That's where the staff parked. And then you walk down the road and you walk under the building. And as you walked under the building, there was all the cars. And you'd walk past the guy who owned the company. He had 4 Lamborghinis in the car park. There was only 8 spaces in the whole car park because his Lamborghinis didn't fit in his fancy house. And I used to think, I walk past his Lamborghinis every day going, I'm just making him more Lamborghinis. That's what I'm doing. And when you kind of think of those things, and loved the job, it was amazing, but it's like, oh, is that it? Like it really, there's just the purpose wasn't there. And then you kind of sit at your desk and no, ignore the Lamborghinis. It's fine. I'm doing a great job. I'm good at what I do. I'm getting, you get promoted, you get, the right things. You are doing a good job. But then you kind of, there's just this niggle of like, well, that's why I'm doing it. And then you think, oh no, but the company's good. The company's got values, and you ignore the Lamborghinis again, and it just wasn't enough. And it really just gave me like the, what is the point? What is the reason? And I didn't have the answer, and I still don't have the answer. But as I run my business now, you just think the more amazing women I speak to, the more things that I see people doing, the more change that I see people making. It's like, oh, that's the realization. That's the thing I love doing. That running a business and having that freedom. And I mean, my life has changed a lot recently. My mum's not well. I've had to move house, and you just think, oh, that's important. If I'd have said to Lamborghini guy, "Can I have Tuesday off to take my mum to the hospital?" and he'd gone, yes, okay then. Oh, like that's not right. So now, you've run your own business for that freedom, for the joy, but for the what am I giving back to the world? How am I helping? And that's such a massively different purpose. And that's what I absolutely love. And then you think, and it is about the money, and I'm going to bang on about the money because I just think the more people have more, the more women have more money, they just do spend it in different ways. There is a joke that I saw recently on the internet of just like, women invest in societies and communities, and men invest in, going in a spaceship into space because they can. And you're like, okay, lovely. Are they? And you kind of convince the things that, oh, but they're doing it, to get tech information, or we're going to investigate it. No, it's just a vanity project. It really is. So you just think, right, how do we get more women just to have more sensible women at the minute? We just need a few more sensible brains around the world, I think. But that kind of thing. And I think, it's hard to think, how do we change that bigger, problem? But it is the daily people. It is the people like you I speak to. It's the people in your network. It's the people in your community. You think, oh, I can't change those big problems. Yeah, we can. And actually, if you think women as a movement, and a few of us get, a little bit angry, a little bit feisty, that's definitely worth doing. So I wouldn't think, oh, it's not worth it, or what difference can I make? It really is about, right, how do you connect with that passion, that story, and then choose impact over meaning and the success. That I think that's what the corporate world was telling me. I was successful, it was good, keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, no, but that's not giving me anything. So a long answer to your question, but yeah, that's what I would say.
And I love it. And there's two things I want to pick out from what you said. I think there are quite few women around the world who wake up every morning thinking, is this it? And because the is this it is what we're used to, we're in our comfort zone. It's like, okay, then, so is this it? But I'm comfortable because I know what's going on.
Yeah.
If I do something different, I'm going to step outside my comfort zone. And that's uncertainty. And I don't know what's on the other side of stepping outside my comfort zone. That's scary. I don't know whether I want to go there. So what made you go there?
I just couldn't deal with this is it. Like that wasn't good enough. It's like he's like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I know, and you have career plans and progression, and you go and speak to your line manager, and there's all this development, but it's not development, is it? It's just the same kind of thing. It's another box that they tell you to fit into, or it's another shape that they want you to contort into, but it's never the thing you kind of want. The last company I worked for, we had 2 female VPs, and it was the fourth biggest company in the world, and there's 2 female VPs, and it's like, well, if that's what I want to be, like, I'm not seeing what is next, what's possible, and I think that's just boring as well. Like, it's just very staid, and you just think, I can't carry on like this. Like, that was the thing for me. It was just like, I could. I mean, when I handed my notice in, my boss cried, actually. She was like, oh, I'm so sad. And I was like, what? So sad. She said, actually, she said, this is awful. I'm so sad because I'm stuck here. She said, I've got 2 kids, I've got a mortgage, I don't, like, I couldn't do the thing you're doing. And I said, if you had to, you would. And she was like, no. And I said, what do you do? And I think that's the thing. We think we're in our comfort zone and we think it's scary, and it is. But if we had to change, we would. And women are a lot more resilient, a lot more adaptable than I think we give ourselves credit for. So we would change things and it would happen and it would be okay. And I think it's taking that leap of faith of like, it's not a leap of faith because you're a lot better than you think you are. We all play ourselves down, don't we? We all go, not very well. I'm just that word, just. I need to get rid of that. Just the business owner. I'm just working corporate. I'm just a mum. I'm just the ridiculous. And it's not. We play ourselves down, and I think if we had to, when things are tough and things are hard, we deal with stuff. That's it. So if you choose the tough and the hard and you choose that next step and you go out your comfort zone, imagine how good you'd be. Imagine how brilliant it would be. And that kind of went, oh, and I mean, I never thought that in the first few years of my business. I just thought, let's see what happens. And you kind of think in the back of your mind, oh, I'll go and get a job, but a job isn't safe. Working for a company, you are a number on a spreadsheet. And if that number isn't needed, not required, or they need to get rid of it, that number will go. And, so this is the most safe job I've ever had. It's the hardest job I've ever had, but it's the best job. And I think that's the thing as well is when you have a corporate career and someone tells you how much you earn, you could work really, really hard. You still earn that, maybe get a bonus, but you still have a salary. It's capped. Whereas, now I can go, if I want 4 more clients and I want to buy something or I want to go on holiday, I'd work differently and I'd earn more money. I get to choose the amount of money that comes into this business. And I think that's exciting as well. So give yourself more credit than I think you're worth, definitely.
You know what? I was talking to someone the other day and he was telling me about some research that had been done on people taking action in their favor that might be getting them out of the situation they're in today. And the outcome of the research said that your situation has got to be twice as bad as the opportunity you're going for in order to make you change things. And he said, but that isn't actually what the research said. It's worse than that. Your position has to be 5 times worse than the opportunity you're going for it to make you take that decision. So, you've got to be really sitting in the rubbish to make you change. I mean, that just shows how much people are willing to accept in their lives for them then to make a decision to change things
or to stay where they are.
That's shocking, exactly. So it's interesting, and I want to go back to the point you made when you were talking about thinking, is this it, and what made you eventually decide to do something different. And you were talking to, what I gathered from it is, we all want a sense of purpose, and if we're waking up every morning thinking, is this it, then we haven't found our purpose. We're not living purposefully. We've got ourselves into autopilot, and we're just doing the thing that we're used to doing, and that's where the dissatisfaction comes from, because we're not living our purpose. And it sounds like you have found your purpose in your business.
Definitely. Interestingly, so before I left the corporate world, if you'd have asked me 6 months before that, do you want to run your own business? I'd say, God, no. I work for an amazing company. I've got this great, salary. I'm traveling all. I had no idea. And it's only 6 months before I was thinking this. I would not have never even wanted to run my own business ever. And it was 6 months, and then I found a coach, and I'm really bad at being bored. So I was just like doing my job. Oh, okay, I can do it. I can do it with my eyes shut. And I was volunteering for other things, and I was signing up to stuff, and I signed up to anything. And then I found a coach, and I was just like, okay, I'll have a chat with her, but I don't want to start my own business. I'm just bored. And then I joined a women's empowerment group within the company I was working in, just as something to do. And it honestly was a HR tick box exercise. They were like, we're having a women's group, we're having a disabilities group, we're having an ethnic, like, it was honestly, you could see the boxes. And we joined the group, and I loved it. was just like, oh, this is the purpose. This is what we want to do. We're going to get, and we work for a big company. We were all a little bit bored and a little bit angry. And it's like, you get 8 women together. We were changing policies. We were setting up mentoring groups. We started events. We started a newsletter, like in the first couple of weeks. And it was just like, and HR actually said to us, you calm down. And we said, no. And they went, what? I said, no, can you just, we didn't think you were going to do this. What, you didn't think we were going to get the voices of the women in this company and do something about it? And they said, no. So what do you think we were going to do? And they honestly said, we thought you'd have a coffee morning, which made it worse. Like, we got even more angry and more annoyed. We said, what have the other groups done? The men's group hadn't had a meeting, and the other group had a meeting but postponed it. And we'd already run 2 events, shut down a flagship store, started this mentoring program, managed to buy some merchandise and branded it all. Like, we'd done a lot of stuff. And that's when I was like, this is the purpose, like getting women interested, getting women talking together, getting them, just being feisty and sharing their opinions and sharing those things. And I was like, oh, and I said to the company I work for, can I do this as a job? Like, the job I'm doing, anyone can do it. Go and get anyone to do that. Can I do this as a job? And they said, oh, it's not really a job, is it? And I said, female empowerment in the fourth biggest company in the world is not a job. And they said, no. I said, okay, I'm in the wrong company. So I looked to leave and do this somewhere else. And then I found this coach and she said, I think you need to start your own business. And I said, oh, okay, so how it works, you work in corporate for years, you get fed up, you start your own business. And she said, no, you work in corporate for years, you get fed up, you carry on doing that, and you do that till you retire. And I was like, oh, no, that sounds horrific. She was like, oh, that's not what people normally do. I was like, right. And I just thought I had to change. That's the person, I had to change. And the finding the passion, it was really obvious then. I was like, okay, so I start my own business. That's what I do next. Right. How hard can that be? And I did it. But honestly, 6 months before, I was booking in meetings for the next 12 months. I was doing plans for budgeting and everything and was really prepared to stay. But it just kind of hit me. And I was like, oh, right, well, this is obvious what I have to do. It was really obvious. And so many people say to me, oh, it's so brave and it's so different. And I was like, no, it was really clear that's what I needed to do. And it's like, oh, that sounds a bit deep, but it just made perfect sense.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because when the decision is right, even if
Mm.
you're feeling a bit nervous about it, when the decision is right, it is, to use corporate speak, it's a no-brainer. It's like, well,
Yes. Yeah.
it is what it is. It doesn't matter that I'm feeling a bit uncertain about the future. I know this is the right decision.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And interestingly, I was still working and I kind of, shared a few things with friends and family and said, I'm kind of doing a thing with this. And a friend said, oh, I've got a friend who needs some help with marketing. She runs her own business. And I was like, I'll have a chat with her. And 20 minutes into that chat, I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And she said, when can we start? And I got a client. And I was in the meeting room in the company I work for, whispering on a call, going, I've got to keep a bit quiet. I'm kind of at work. And she said, oh, and I said, I haven't really launched my business yet. And I already got clients. So I was like, oh, this is going to work then. This is going to be brilliant. Okay. And I was like, and then I started being loud. I was like, oh, I don't care. Yeah, that's it. So yes, I got clients that was like, yeah, this is the right decision because and I think that's that validation as well because you can, and a lot of women do this, and I speak to this with a lot of my clients of like, I need to check everything's perfect before I launch something, or I need to check everything's right before I do something. And I was just like, get a bit of validation, find the right people, and sometimes it's clients, but sometimes it's a network of people just to be like, you're doing the right thing, go for it, because we will check and doubt ourselves constantly before it's out there. And it's like, no, actually, put something out into the world, step out of that comfort zone, because the comfort zone is the worst place you can be. You're too happy in there. Your slippers are nice and soft. Everything's so cozy. It's all lovely and warm. It's like, oh, yeah, why would I leave this? Step out of that comfort zone, sense check it with some right people. And it's generally not your friends and family, actually, who say, yeah, leave that massive corporate career and go and start your own business in your spare room because they just want to keep you safe. And my parents and boyfriend and stuff were just like, okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah, and it was like, you could see they were nervous, but then, I spoke to a couple of people who did run their own businesses, and you find a network, you find the right people, the right connections. They were like, oh, do you know what you could do? Or, oh, do you know who you need to speak to? Or, oh, I've got a friend who does that. Why don't you join together? But it's, yeah, your friends and family do want to keep you safe, and they're more scared for them than they are for you. And when you find those right people, then that'll help you kind of believe in yourself again, definitely. So then you're like, oh, well, I can do this, then, can't I? Because they said I can, and I did. And then you're off, then you're unstoppable.
So, talk to me more about how you transitioned from being in the corporate world to then setting up your own business? Because obviously you alluded there to the fact that there was a bit of a transition. It wasn't, I'm employed today and tomorrow I'm a business owner.
It's probably about 6 weeks from I'm employed today and tomorrow I'm business owner. But yeah, it was just finding those kind of initial first few clients and kind of thinking, oh, okay, this I can do this and do these things. And it's interesting actually when you sit down, and maybe you had this, you sit down at your desk, you still sit down at 9 o'clock because we are conditioned to sit down at 9. And I one day will honestly get out of that, but it takes a while. You know, I really feel like I've been corporately brainwashed. But then you shouldn't forget the things that you're good at. Because I sat down at my desk and was like, oh my God, I can't run a business. What the hell do I know? And it's like, actually, I'll work that bit out. This client needs some help. This woman needs help with her marketing. I know lots about marketing. Like I think that's the thing. You really need to make sure you don't forget those things, because then that doubt, you'll go for, I spoke to a woman actually in a networking thing earlier this week, and she'd been 6 months kind of thinking about it and trying to work it out. And I was just like, just go for it. You know more than you realize. You really can help people. And once you work out, oh, I can help people, that one gets rid of that ick about selling. Because that's the thing, you are a business owner and you're here to sell stuff. And then it's like so many women, and it's a real female thing, isn't it? Of just like, oh, I can't sell, I can't sell. No, you can, because if someone rang you and said, Maria, help me with this, you go, of course I'll help you. But you're just changing that conversation. You're ringing them first and saying, I can help you with this. And that's all it is. So, yeah, I think it's once you kind of get an idea of like, this is what I need to do, go for it. Absolutely go for it. I didn't hang around. Honestly, I think it was 6 weeks. Yeah, I think I was 6 weeks before I then handed my notice in. And they were like, oh, really? It's like, yeah, I'm going. I'm good. I'm too busy for this as well. Like, yeah, I didn't have loads of clients, but I didn't want to, I wanted to totally focus on this new thing that I wanted to do. And I couldn't do that with the 9 to 5 job. So I was like, I need to leave. And they were like, oh, can we give you, can you do an extra month? And I was like, no, no. You have to be strict with yourself as well. Because I'd love that extra pay, but I was like, no, I need to focus on that.
There's a saying about taking imperfect action, because if you wait
Yes.
for perfection, you'll never take action.
No such thing. What's perfection? How do you measure it? What does it look like? No idea.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. And the fact, what you were saying about you're a business owner and you're thinking, well, I don't know how to run a business. And I see it in the conversations I have, that we go from, just because we're now a business owner, we throw all of our other knowledge and skills
Yes.
out the window, and it's like, whoa, hang on a second. And I did it. I put my hand up. I started on day one and I thought, right, I know nothing. And then it took me a little while to go, hang on a second.
I don't know.
It's not like I was born yesterday. I've got
Mm-hmm.
all this experience. I know lots. I just need to take it and transfer it into the environment I'm now in. So I think that's a really important message for everybody to take on board. If you're in that moment of wanting to jump ship, remember, you're just going from one ship to the other. You're not starting afresh. Today isn't day one, the first time you've lived on Earth. So take your stuff, your good stuff, leave the baggage, take your good stuff with you.
And focus on that stuff. I think that's the thing as well, because we sit down and we go, okay, I need to be VAT registered, or I need a limited company, I need an accountant, I need these things, I need to work out invoices. Yeah, you do, but that's not your priority. And I think I got very swept up in that of just like, the business side needs to run perfectly. And I love looking at systems and platforms, and I went far too much down that rabbit hole. And it's like, no, the bit you can do is the work you do with your clients. So really focus on that. How do I get that so that's seamless? How do I get that so I enjoy it? How do I do those things? So I definitely ignored that bit and focused on the other bit, because I was like, well, this is exciting. But actually, the thing that only you can do is the most important thing. You can get an accountant, you can get a system that does invoicing, you can get an Excel spreadsheet and make an invoice, and that's fine. That's but I think we overthink those things and we ignore the other bit. And that gets a bit lost. And I think that's the real thing, is like, only focus on the things you can do and outsource the rest, or find another way to do it, or just scrappily make it up, imperfect action, do those things, because that's not important. Yes, you need to get paid, definitely need to get paid, but otherwise you don't need a fancy CRM system. You don't need to be doing all the marketing in the world. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but actually that's what I talk to my clients about, is like, make it simple and make it easy so that you can do the thing you love. Because I remember speaking to a woman and just We worked together for about 3 months, and I said, "How do you feel now?" She said, "I've fallen back in love with my business. I'd got so wrapped up in all the other things, I forgot why I did it, and now I absolutely love it, and I'd totally forgotten that." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sad. That you forget why you do the thing you do." And it's like, hold on, if you look at your day, you look at your diary, 70% of that should be what you love doing, working with clients, doing your thing, whatever it is that your specialism is, your passion. 30% is everything else, including all your marketing, including how you run your business. And that's once you get those systems and processes, slicker and easier, or just simpler. Don't have to be complicated, just simpler. Then you're running a purpose-led business that you absolutely love, that you wake up every day and go, yes, I get to do this again. Oh, I've got that client, I've got this thing, I've got this activity. That's how you need to kind of have a think about it in your head, or just have that kind of goal if you're just starting out, or if you haven't started yet. Really don't get caught up in the other side, that it just is busy work that we find is important, but it distracts us from the important stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll focus on, naturally as humans, the easy stuff, or the exciting stuff, rather than the things that we might find a bit icky. Because like you said earlier, trying to sell what we do, especially as women, can feel icky. And so, I don't have to put myself out there. If I can legitimately procrastinate by saying, oh, well, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, then, it's all right, because I'm doing something I need to do, when actually just putting off the thing you're supposed to be doing.
And I think that ick comes from bad role models. We think about sales, you instantly think of cheesy car salesmen, shiny suits, that kind of thing, like that. And we've got bad examples of sales that really, given us that ick. And you're like, okay, when do you find, you think of amazing women, or you think of female entrepreneurs, or big women who run massive companies. They're very quiet, very calm, and I would definitely go and seek out those things and do a bit of research, because that sales ick thing that we really have cemented in our brain is because society have told us this is what sales is like, and this is what you have to do, and it's like estate agents and car salesmen and sales people. And I used to work with loads of sales cheeses, and you're just like, oh, but actually, you don't want to be like that, and that puts you off completely. And I think, definitely go do some research and look at amazing women, the woman who invented Spanx, things like that. People like Oprah Winfrey, people like Reese Witherspoon, run massive companies, and massive, generate a lot of money, but they don't shout about it in the same way that makes you feel ick. And when you tie into that, you'll definitely find it's about stories, and you feel like you resonate with people, and you understand their story, you're inspired by their story, and then you go, oh, I want to be like that woman, I don't want to be like the sales cheese. And it's just definitely a different perspective to look into.
So we have come to the end.
Oh yes, that was quick.
Before we go though, I do have 2 questions for you. The first one is, what 3 things do you want people to take away from this conversation?
Do less, do it better, I think. So that's kind of 2. And be more self-focused. There's 3 good things, isn't it? Yes.
So finally, people will be listening and watching to this thinking, Charlie, she's amazing. I need to be in her world. How do I get in her world? Make it easy for them. How can you?
I love LinkedIn. I do also take my own advice, so I only really use one platform for business, which is good. So find me on LinkedIn, follow my, say rants, but I think they're impassioned posts about things I love. And then find me on there. I've got some great opportunities with women, one-to-one groups, kind of short, sharp, little intense things, and I'd love to have a chat with anyone who's just intrigued of what they need to do next.
Amazing. So it only leaves me to say thank you, Charlie, for sharing your story and being so honest with us today.
Thank you. Yes, I think that comes with, once you leave that corporate machine, you suddenly are very honest, and you think, and I thought I used to be, but no, it's coming out. It's definitely coming out now. So I can't help it.
And thank you everybody for watching and listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Rising from the Rubble. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Also, remember to download your free life assessment. Just click the link in the description to get started. Take care, and remember, every setback is an opportunity for growth. I'll see you next time.